All the same, we will start with my talk. This instruction course will start with a very basic thing to clarify some of the terminologies which you need to understand, remove your myths, get the correct message, and then will lead to an important steps of phacoemulsification like VEXIS, which is probably the most important part for the safe nucleus management by phacoemulsification, and phacoemulsification itself, going then to things like how to prevent, manage, identify the complications that you might come across in the front part, that is anterior chamber, or in the posterior chamber. And eventually we will try to work up with the recent development, and that is none other than the femtosecond laser. I will welcome Dr. Abhay Vasavada on the dais, please. We have galaxy of speakers like Dr. Abhay Vasavada, like Dr. Gaurav Luthra, Dr. Gaurav Shah, Dr. Sundaramurthy, Dr. Susmita Shah, and myself, Dr. Yogesh Shah. So with this introduction, let me start with the basic thing to begin with. I would like to clarify all the different terminologies with you. As you understand, we have multiple kinds of lasers today available, but the commonest being the ultrasound, and now introduction of the light, that is femtosecond laser surgery. But when you intend to understand your machine, the first thing which you need to remember is there are two different systems, the venturi and the peristaltic. It is the peristaltic system which is relatively said to be safer for the beginner, because there the vacuum and the high parameters build up only after the occlusion. However, in the venturi system, there is always a pre-existing vacuum, and hence the things seem to work relatively little faster with the venturi system. But in my experience of last 20 years or so, I would say once you are trained, it doesn't really make a big difference with today's modern machines. These are various terminologies which we use during the phacoemulsification, and let me start with each one of them. Though I am purposely taking aspiration as the first part, primarily because I believe that aspiration is an active process, because it is the machine which is functioning for the aspiration flow rate and takes away the fluid from the anterior chamber into, by the rotation pump, into the back active. You need to remember that aspiration flow rate is only the rate by which the fluid escapes the anterior chamber through the phaco tip. However, there is also a loss that can occur, especially if your wound is a leaking wound, and hence you will have to compensate that much irrigation for that as well. Also, you need to remember that aspiration flow rate is the basic thing in the peristaltic system, and that is the one which is going to build up the vacuum. However, in venturi system, you do not have aspiration parameter at all, and it just functions directly on the vacuum, which will regulate the aspiration flow rate. Irrigation, as I said, is a basically passive process, and it depends upon the hydrostatic pressure which you develop by bottle height, but it can be made active by various things like using aspiration, anterior chamber maintainer, or a continuous flow, or a positive pressure, which we will deal little later. However, one of the most important feature is the vacuum, which is probably the key factor today, because we all talk about high vacuum, low energy phacoemulsification surgery. Vacuum is nothing but a negative pressure created in the aspiration tubing, which occurs, as I said, on occlusion in the peristaltic system, continues even in venturi system, even when there is no occlusion. It could be preset linear, it could be a dual linear, A dual linear modality is not available in the every function, every machine, but it is something where you can regulate the vacuum on time as per your wish and will, depending upon the stage and depending upon the type of nucleus that you are dealing with. Power is basically the ultrasound energy which is delivered by oscillation longitudinally of the phaco tip, which we call a stroke length. However, in OSIL, which came up a little later, you had both longitudinal as well as the horizontal movement. It's vital important to remember that the energy spreads in the angle of about 30 degrees, and hence, if you try to do the phacoemulsification procedure in the bag, you will not damage the endothelium of the cornea to a large extent. Besides this, there are some machines which believe that they also act on a cavitation bubble, which I will come to a little later. Followability, I think, is one of the most important things which you need to remember while you are doing phacoemulsification, which attracts the nuclear pieces towards the phaco tip. Loss of followability implies that there is some complication, and at that point, you need to review your case very well after injecting viscoelastic material and be sure that you have not ended up into any complication. Surge is one of the important factors during phacoemulsification because all the surgeons do get scared with the surge occurring suddenly, because that is one factor which can easily lead to posterior capsule rupture. There are many factors which can help you to prevent the surge, like higher end machine where there are sensors, anterior chamber maintainer, positive pressure, utility of the positive pressure by fish pump or by the machine, by the bottle height, by BP machine which you can try. There are something like cruise drive, and the tubing which you use are also all important. Vent is something which again helps you to prevent the surge, which is nothing but input of either the gas or the fluid in the aspiration tubing moment the occlusion breaks, so that nothing is aspirated suddenly from the anterior chamber, and that takes care of sudden change in the pressures in the aspiration tubing, and hence the surge can be prevented. Reflex is just the reverse of vent, because here the fluid goes towards the eye rather than away from the eye, also in the aspiration tubing itself. This is basically to throw away the pieces if inadvertently you have caught them in the phaco tip, either the iris or any other tissue. This basically needs to you need to remember at this point of time that it has to be some mechanism which will allow the sterile flow towards the eye, and it is not an insterile flow. But most companies take care of that particular thing in their machines. There are various power modulations which have come up, which I will deal in next 2, 3, 4, about 5 minutes or so, which help you to minimize the energy use, minimize the fragment chatter, improves the followability, and also you tend to use less quantity of BSS solution, reduce the turbulence in the chamber, and hence you get a clear cornea on the very first day. As you understand very well that we started with a basic phaco machine where there was something like all or none phenomenon, where moment you go to foot pedal position 3, you have the energy delivered to the preset level. From there we went into the second phase where we had a linear delivery of the energy. That is, as you depress the foot pedal more and more in foot pedal position 3, the energy starts rising, from where we came to the pulse phaco. And pulse phaco is nothing but intermittent delivery of the energy, where you have delivery for some phase of time and a rest phase for some time. During the rest phase, you need to remember that there is already aspiration flow rate which will attract the pieces towards the phaco tip, or if you have embedded inside the nucleus, there is already a vacuum, and hence this makes the phacoemulsification more effective without generating heat or friction inside the eye. This is how the pulse module would look. The new invention which came up with the Bausch & after the pulse was a burst mode. In a burst mode, there is delivery of the energy to the preset level moment you enter into the foot pedal position 3. And as you can see in the lower graph, when you depress the foot pedal, unlike the pulse mode which you see in the first upper graph, the energy increases here because there is a full delivery of the energy. As you depress the foot pedal, what will increase is the frequency of the burst coming up until it goes to the continuous mode. Then we came up with a couple of other advances like rise time 1 and 2. Rise time 1 is nothing but like something like a burst mode where the energy comes up, it remains on the plateau and comes down. But in rise time 2, instead of a sudden rise of the energy, the rise of the energy is relatively little slow. And hence, if I was to put rise time 1 over the rise time 2, as you can see it in the lower graph, you are not delivering part of the energy in this area, that much energy you save. Also, if it's a soft cataract, then you don't need to get chatter or a sudden eating up of the nuclear piece, and hence the rise time 2 can be useful in a soft phaco. Exactly the reverse thing came up with certain other machines, like they said instead of having a low energy, you need to have a high punch at that particular time of the pulse, which is the beginning of the pulse, and then it comes to the plateau. Their concept was that will push the nucleus like chattering little away, so that the balance salt solution enters between the phaco tip and the nuclear piece, and that can generate a cavitation bubble, so that you not only have the longitudinal movement but also cavitation bubble energy. In Ozil, they came up with horizontal movement, which said that in longitudinal movement, when the phaco tip is coming backwards, you are using the energy, but it is not effective. Whereas in Ozil, since it is a transverse movement, whether it goes from the left to right or right to left, it keeps on eating the nuclear pieces. The hyperpulse is nothing but advancement of the number of pulses, which now you can go from 10 to 120. Moment you have higher number of pulses, the energy comes very frequently, but the gap between the two also reduces. However, the important thing which came up was a duty cycle. Until now, we have seen that in a pulse mode, you have energy delivery for 50% on time and 50% rest time. But with a duty cycle, you can modulate your energy for a longer time or a shorter time, depending upon what you want at that point of time. Like if you have 20% duty cycle, as you can see in the upper graph, the energy delivery is shorter and the rest phase is longer. But when you go to the 90% duty cycle, it simulates more or less a continuous phaco. And then came a waveform phaco, which is really not very popular as on today. Do not make a mistake of waveform phaco into something like a rise time 2. Each one of the blue line over here which you see is one pulse. And as even if you remain in the same foot pedal position, as the next pulse comes, automatically the energy increases. The third pulse will have a little higher energy, and that's how it creates something like a wave. That was probably more useful in MICS platform, but something which is really not very close to my heart, and I'm not really using waveform phaco of late. To summarize, the development of the new software creates hyperpulse phaco up to 120 pulses per second with adjustment of the phaco duration and the rest time, that is duty cycle. The software programs also provide you waveform modulation to further enhance the energy efficiency and fragment followability without generating heat and complicating the cornea. Thank you very much for your kind attention. I request Dr. Gaurav Shah and Dr. Susmita Shah to join me on the stage.